matters a lot to politicians because they play a prime role in changing the government. But apparently, I don't come from there. Wermas came to Botswana on invitation of government of Botswana, in which my father, Ranveer Kumar Werma, who is an entrepreneur, came to Botswana. Not to sound arrogant, but yes, I can say that I respect people and I know without people who are not in the team, who are not employed or employees, you can grow. But as far as I am concerned, Werma family, this is the 4th generation into manufacturing. So back in 1940 somewhere, my grandfather and then his grandfather started manufacturing. I am proud to say that I am not a graduate, but I'm an entrepreneur. Very important. I still say that I am not a graduate, but I know how business turns and how it works. So basically, I understand the commercialization along with my father, and yes, my coach is my father, he's my mentor in teaching me how business works. We came in year 1999, the first visit to Botswana, where we established a company called Winston Enterprises. The registration number of Winston Enterprises show CO, I don't know exactly, oblique something 099. So I think it signifies 1999. And we came here with the invitation of then Vidya. And we, I think, must be amongst their few first who came to Botswana for investment and saw the opportunity. And the space in which we came in was manufacturing of blankets and some textiles. So it is just to give you a background that where we come from. And in India, I come from Punjab. Yes, not Uttar Pradesh. This is the other reason why I have said that, because the few articles which have been presented on, which are still on Google, I would request my friends and journalists to please withdraw them off, because they have impacted me in a very bad way. And I would say you that please be considerate or verify the fact, because this is my first ever conference I have done, and I am getting directly one-on-one with the press. So just to give you a bit of brief, and my request in that with regards to the information which is definitely hovering around from last 2.5 years in the media, but this is what is the fact, and this is what I am today when we came into Botswana. Botswana. Starts this journey of, I'm fast forwarding because to Pula Steel, so that you know where it started from. Pula Steel started in year 2010. That is when the company and the idea was born. Obviously the idea born first and the company later, that can be referred for facts from Registrar of Companies. Either it was registered in 2010 or 2011, early. The company was registered by MR Services in Silvi Pigre, or could be Mazars, which are sister concerns. And the whole protocol and governance processes were adhered to as far as a private corporation is concerned. Because in private corporation, all we do is instruct our company secretariats to go and register the company. And all we do is sign the documents and it's done. And 80% of the company was owned by Werma family, and 20% of the company was owned by wealth generation. Wealth generation is owned by Ampho Balopi and Brian Musineni. Very important to know again.
Who owns well?
Ampho Balopi and Brian Musineni. Brian Musineni. This conference, I'm giving it completely under my own, what you call on legitimate rights or whatever it is called, because I have not consulted any of my ex-partners, because I'm no more, because Pula Steel is literally not existing. But you will know a lot of facts about Pula Steel, that what went wrong and how the investor is treated when they are here, and what comes on a business index of Botswana. They are two separate, different things. And whatever I will tell you, I will support it with a documented proof in writing. If anybody who doesn't have that, I will leave a copy there when you leave. You give me your email addresses, I will email the copy of that supported document. That is given. I will not tell you anything which is not supported with the document. And I will not hold anything. I will even give you the company's shareholders agreement also, which you can go page by page.
Okay.
So basically what I'm telling you is that I will give you every information. All you need to do is don't speculate, ask me.
Okay.
That's it. My only request is this. Ampho Balopi in 2010, and I'm sure records will tell, was an ordinary citizen of Botswana. Neither he was SG, neither he was any politician, neither he was anything. And we did not know Ampho Balopi directly. My first meeting happened with Ampho Balopi along with my father at Grand Palm. Either it was year 2010, late, early 2011. Definitely December or January 2011. Holiday period. And we were introduced to Ampho Balopi at that time by Brian Musineni. Why Brian Musineni now comes step 2. Brian Mosinene, when we came first into Botswana, that was in year 1999, and now we are talking year 2010, after 12 years. That is when we discussed that Brian had expression of interest that he wants to move ahead in life with regards to he wants to become a businessman. He don't want to work with media anymore. And this is not that, yes, the expression was not in writing. It was purely an informal discussion. So we asked Brian that would you consider there's a project available? And he said, yes, I would consider that project. And he took us to Mr. Balopi. This is how we met Mr. Balopi, and obviously wealth generation, whether he has got, wealth generation has got 10 partners or 1 partner, that is not Werma family's point. We are partners with wealth generation, and we are introduced through Brian Mosinene into that partnership. So whether there are, it can be any number of partners behind him, we don't know, or shareholders, because there was nothing at that stage, idea that we will take it to this level of business where Pula Steel went to, according to Botswana. So we then discussed that we will set up Pula Steel, and the plant will be set up 80-ton capacity plant. Please note this, 80-ton capacity plant. This 80-ton capacity is per day capacity. Per day capacity. Not per month, not per year. Per day capacity. Which makes sure that the plant can consume on a 80% capacitated production capacity of any plant, which makes commercial or financial projected numbers. It was estimated that Pula Steel will be needing 2,400 tons of raw material every month. 2,400 tons of raw material every month. This is when we decided, and this was the complete plan, and it was to be funded at 44 million. It's about 6 years ago, 9 years ago now we are sitting. So there could be some difference in numbers of a million or something. But yes, it can't be a difference that I'm telling you, which could be that I'm telling you 44 and the difference was difference was 20. No, it could be 43, it could be 43.5, it could be 44 million. So somewhere there, and in this, the expression, the partners which were involved were Pula Steel, from Pula Steel, now as entity Pula Steel, Werma's, SIDA, wealth generation, and the next one was, which nobody knows, BDC. Probably this could be a news to you guys, but yes, BDC was involved in Pula Steel initially. $13 million, I will do the maths at the same time because it was all of a sudden. 13 million was supposed to come from promoters. And equity. $7 million was supposed to come as equity from CEDA. Sorry, I have to correct the number. 13 million was supposed to come as debt from CEDA. Yeah, they funded 20 million. I have to, please let me correct it. 13 million was debt and 7 million was equity from CEDA, for which they gained 35% interest in business. And the person who was
They
in
gain how
charge
much? You
for
said,
that, sorry,
you said they gain how much percent?
35%. For which the person who was in charge at that time was Leseco Celotate, the deputy CEO, and CEO at that time, I think, was Thabo Thamati. I'm not sure. Or maybe he was towards the final end of it. Before that, there was somebody else who I know has moved to Aeon or something. I don't remember his name. Yes, I don't remember the name. I don't know that. Because our dealing was only with Leseco Celotate. So we don't need to know anybody else. In this, 10 million was supposed to be funded by BDC, for which I don't remember the equity portion of BDC at all. I need to verify it from the term sheet that they gave us. But they definitely accepted that they are a potential investor in Pula Steel for 10 million Pula. 10 or 9.9. Again, correction, please, it has to be verified. And but the difference is not something that can create you know, that difference is a large. It could be 5% difference on this, but 10 million was the figure. And unfortunately, BDC gentleman who was representing BDC, his name was Mr. Balakani. And he even traveled to India with the group of other investors which were in Pula Steel, which includes CEDA and Werma's and wealth generation. They went to India, they met the suppliers, they saw the plants, they were okay with that. When they came back, apparently BDC told us that Balakani has not mentioned any comments on Pula Steel file. And we cannot disburse this money. Now, this thing I have told you very quickly in fast forward mode. During this time, why BDC did not disburse the loan and what were the delays in that process, but CEDA had disbursed the money and Werma's equity portion and wealth generation's equity portion came into the business apart from this 20 million, which was supposed to be close to, I think, 23, which was close to be about, yes, 13 or 14 million, in which wealth generation's contribution was about 4 point some million and 9 point some million was supposed to be from Werma's. But again, exact number stand to be verified. So that is why I said the total number goes to 44 million. There was a delay in land to Pula Steel. And that is why when we needed the land, when there was a delay of that happened, we could not go ahead, and Balakani had not let any comments on the file that was told to us. So when we approached back with the term sheet, BDC said we need to again verify the facts. So you need to send us again the whole package of documents, whether the project is viable or not. Now this was probably somewhere in 2012 that started happening, because money was dispersed, money was given to suppliers, CEDA had already dispersed, committed the money, and this is what happened at the same time. We were already left in limbo. I don't find myself anywhere responsible for that there was a delay in that, because number one, why was land delayed? Because land could not be consolidated. There is a property that Vidya was developing, or government of Botswana has been developing in Silvi Pigwe. So I know for a fact in 2012, those plots were available 6 years before that, and there was no industry on that plot. And in 2012, when I asked for those plots, so I was recommended by SPEDU, please take these 5 plots, service plots, on which you can set up Pula Steel at a length. And I'm sure some of you have seen Pula Steel, or from the picture, it's a shed of 200 by 20 square meters, 200 square meters at a length. So the snag that was hit was that these plots cannot be consolidated. We gave an argument that in last 6 years, there is no industry that has come here. Can you not consolidate and make it one plot? Our application was at Development, Botswana, Land Development Office at, I couldn't, excuse me, I wouldn't remember the full name, but it is in Square Mart building. That is where our file was stuck. Government went ahead, jobs needed to be created. They went ahead and they said, we will allocate you the plot opposite those 5 plots, where you will get one side which is already serviced. So if they were at a length, there was a road in between and there was unserviced land this side. But one side, because it was facing the service side, in the best interest of the company to go through, this is what we will give you. Now, mind you, in this, we had already lost 12 months. In these 12 months, our CEO was being paid salary. And again, I'm going to stress on certain point here. CEO of Pula Steel was Brian Mosinene during that period, not Mr. Werma, who is my father. And during that period, CEDA did several rounds of meetings with us, and we were being, whatever delays were happening in that, those meetings led to burning of funds, because machinery, equipment was already paid, and we had a CEO, and we were told, because we were not used to of the rain of Botswana at that time, and I will elaborate the facts about it. We were told that it is important that we need to derive the policies and the framework of Botswana of Pula Steel with regards to hiring process and all that. So there was an HR coordinator that was hired. Her name was Florence Mokalaki. Any project, if you delay in timelines of implementation, that is the first step of derailment. When I say derailment, it would need more money because expense has happened. In this period, I would again like to stress upon me and Mr. Werma, technical director, my father, who knew in and out of the plant, Deepak Werma as marketing director. We are the only two directors who did not take salary from Pula Steel for 6 months at a stretch because Pula Steel did not, we thought it is important, it is at a starting phase. We don't want for Pula Steel to suffer for that. And apparently at that time, I had a business of textiles which was continuously running on the back end process. Now I said that during this time, the reason I've told you about this, why we did not meet the salary, because Winston Enterprises was making non-woven textiles, and Winston Enterprises is the only company in Silvi Piquet which had no dealing with BCL mine. I am stressing upon this point again for a reason. Winston Enterprises, owned by Wermas, had no dealing with BCL Limited then. Nobody knew there's a family that lives in Silvi Piquet, Wermas, and they deal in non-woven textiles, except some employees of mine, which were about 20 in Winston, and my Indian community that resides there in Silvi Piquet. I produced non-woven textiles in that, and a product called Heat Guard, which was thermal insulation. I can proudly say that Winston Enterprises was the third unit in sub-Saharan Africa from year 1999 that was producing non-woven textiles from year 2001 until 2014 in Botswana. Our first competition that came in Botswana was around 2013, 13 years later. The reason I've specified you and stressed you on this is because I want to inform my fellow friends that how well capacitated innovators we are. My first competition came into this country in 2013 via some Chinese cloud that works with Javeria garments in Gabs at Karatex. Until then, yes, some expansions happened in South Africa, but when we started in Botswana, it was made, the plant was visited by Honorable former President Festus Mohai and his wife. The facts for that, if you will need, anybody of you who will demand to, because you would, I have always said, Wermas have been always the missing link and left themselves away from the press. So I can send you the pictures where Mr. Festus Mohai is lying in my office, not lying, sitting on the sofa and lying like this on a pillow that was being made here, which pillow we used to call magic pillow. because we used to compress it and then ship it out. And our market was export market. Zimbabwe, Zambia, and South Africa. Botswana, we would sell goods to Trade World and certain other companies, but because of our interaction in a product that is called heat guard, thermal insulation, our first entrance into this construction business started from there. That is, we started to getting to know Cash Bill. We started to getting to know Jamal Trading. We started to getting to know other hardware stores. Just to let you know how we got to know and how we reached to steel. Now all this happened during this phase, and we were doing fairly good as a business. We didn't have any interaction, we had no interest in BCL. How we reached to BCL now? Because there have always been this thing that has been written that we reach BCL, and I'm saying it about myself and Mr. Werma, not others, through some scrupulous manners. No, we reached BCL because when Pula Steel was being set up, the induction furnace of Pula Steel, which was going to melt 80 tons of steel scrap, that induction furnace needs water for cooling. And we went to propose to take the water that they are throwing away to pump it from their dam and use it at Pula Steel. Again, I'm stressing upon, Vermas went to BCL to get water, not steel scrap, water, which was a problem for BCL and solution for us, which they were pumping out, throwing in the dam, and they had problem to throw that water, and even because it was not, I think, they couldn't do irrigation thing or whatever for farming. It couldn't be used in agricultural stuff. So it was completely different motive when we went there. During that time, we had a discussion when BCL Exco team asked us, what are the challenges you are facing? Because we were not privy. Somewhere in closed doors, there was discussion going on, and there was this mega project called Polaris was running in somewhere in time bubble. I don't know which time bubble, but it was running somewhere, and we went to discuss water. At that time, also BCL was prospecting in iron ore. They were prospecting in other minerals. Now, here comes the entrepreneur part and purely business commercial part. They shared with us that, we are looking at this project, we want it to speed up, and you have a challenge of land in implementation of Pula Steel. But BCL has lot of land, and BCL can motivate because of its Polaris projects this business. Now this is something that we had discussions, and there was no need to minute these discussions for us. It was purely an expression of, not even an expression of interest. Ours was an expression of interest to buy water or to collect water for free, and theirs was that, you are setting up this thing, and if you need any assistance from BCL Limited, and we think that this was all in good fairness, that please go ahead and we will assist you, but this project is needed in Siliguri Pequea urgently, as soon as possible. In this time, somewhere again in the time bubble, I'm fast forwarding it, they started thinking they were prospecting iron ore. And I know for a fact that BCL was prospecting iron ore in Shashong, in Mahalape, in Barlong Farms. And in Barlong Farms, now because obviously I was discussing with BCL lot of matters once we became the partners, so I'm privy to certain information. And Barlong Farms, it was somewhere in newspapers, Rio Tinto had signed some sort of arrangement with them, which was in papers, and they are still, it's a very good property for iron ore, but they are not moving ahead with it because of BCL collapse. So this is what was the total conceptualization, or at inception, this is what Pula Steel was at inception. And I'm sure when you will see, this is far from the facts which were there before in the air, from what it was being done or what Wermas were doing about it. Now when we started discussions with BCL, BCL expressed an interest that, you know, we have this policy. It's not about Polaris policy. It makes every reason as step one. If we can have interest in Pula Steel, because we have got the metal in our soil, we can add lot of value to it. And this is where obviously a commercial decision had to be taken by Wermas, because they were holding majority stake in the company, 52% of the company, and they had rights to initiate this based on their shareholding. We then brought this thing to the notice of our board, SEDA, that somewhere in the background, BCL is making these discussions and we need land, and your influence as a DFI, SEDA's influence as DFI, Development Finance Institution, is not working out. We are not getting land. And that is when, now in this period, you can imagine the time span. 2012, somewhere we had disbursed the money from SEDA, which was paid to the supplier for the equipment. The first contract and the first phase is completely different, because now I am not targeting any person, but I would come to Meki, because Meki is present there. Am I correct? As we had agreed. Meki has recently written, which Liquidator has mentioned in news, not very clearly. The first phase of Pula Steel was furnace, and the second phase was rolling mill. No, this is completely wrong information. The first phase of Pula Steel was first contract, which included induction furnace, caster, and the rolling mill. And the capacity of that plant was 80 tons per day of induction, which is melting facility, and 200 tons per day of rolling capacity. Rolling capacity was always put higher in any business because you are value adding. And tomorrow when you need to take your capacity higher in terms of melting, if need be, your rolling can't be leaving you behind, because rolling takes lot of capital cost. So this was very important, and I have told it clearly, I don't know if they had facts about it. Again, I say that yes, it is a wrong information given by the liquidator, and I pity the liquidator unfortunately because they themselves don't have the knowledge or technical knowledge about the project, and all they do is to gain the publicity and to not inform the right authorities. They do these things because they are now here saying to the people of Botswana and the government of Botswana that everything was wrong from inception. And what I have told you is documented. I have certain challenges in even giving you certain documents, but yes, I can still arrange it by challenging the liquidator to provide you those documents, because that is the fact, and contract shows that. Now, because we could not, we could see that we are facing a challenge of the land already, and we don't have land, and the equipment is paid for. The supplier overseas is already manufacturing the equipment and actually has manufactured, and the project was supposed to be implemented in 2012. We are now sitting in 2014 discussing with BCL a fresh deal where they are looking at this project. And in 2014, the induction furnace of Pula Steel had already arrived in Botswana through shipping line SAF Marine. It was in the country, parked in industrial site in Silvi, Piquet. I have again specified on this because somewhere in the past it has been said that BCL paid money for the paper. There was nothing existing, and I want to tell, the fact is this, that there was not paper. Equipment had already arrived, and there are invoices and BURS clearance documents are lying, and you can verify as press from them. I'm sure it is available for public. They can't say no. This is my presumption. Pardon my ignorance if I don't know that this is not available or press is not allowed to access that. But the equipment, the caster, and even today, certain equipment of that phase is lying at SDV, now called Belor, Botswana, at block something, which the liquidator has not included in the liquidation process. Why? I don't know. This is what is the first phase. While we are doing the negotiations with BCL, during that time, we as Winston Enterprises were importing lot of stuff of steel. But apparently the habit of Werma's is, if you will give me this mobile today and you tell me to trade, I promise you in 1 year, I will start manufacturing it. That is just how we are. I can't tell you why, that is just in my DNA. So I can't change it. But this is how I am. While Winston was exporting the goods into Zimbabwe, I also would like to stress upon how did this diversification of textiles to steel happen? which is a drastic change, diversification, because it has been constantly written by papers that Mr. Werma is not a person who knows about the plant, or technically he doesn't know about the plant. Again, I think that paper is sitting here amongst us, is called Business Weekly, and the thing was done by Thabo Thamane. The interview was given by Thabo Thamane somewhere in 2015, when my father was literally held hostage by workers. It could be 2015, it could be 2016. I stand to be corrected, but I can definitely say the paper was Business Weekly that did that story. And the person who said in that story was Thabo Thamane about my father. So I will come back. So there's things that I'm specifically mentioning, and I would not take it, please don't take it personal. I want to tell you the reason why I'm pointing date-wise and I'm pointing these things is that if I go away as an investor, there'll be new people who would be coming in, and it doesn't set a good precedent. Everybody says that, but it is unfortunate that, have you noticed the graph in Botswana, that always the foreign investor is wrong in whichever company you take. And it can't be possible that there could be in anything 100% success rate of foreigners to come and default in Botswana. Sino Hydro, I'm mentioning from, I don't have any mandate from them. I don't know Sino Hydro, but I have visited China, not one time, 50 times. And Sino Hydro has done the most immaculate projects in China. Why Sino Hydro couldn't do a project in Botswana? This is the question. Let's be real. Don't lie to yourself. I personally feel a person shouldn't lie to himself, because then you are trying to, if I know that I'm falling in ditch and I say, no, it's road there, I'm going to fall there. So I'm just giving you one of the examples as Sino Hydro. I think the company is blacklisted. It was also in media. I don't know anything about it. But I've just told you, yes, the way the 4-laning or 10 lanings have been done in China, and those bridges have been made immaculate, top notch. Point 2 is, I'm coming back again to Pula Steel, that we had addressed the issue about when my father was victimized as a hostage, and this was written that he doesn't know about it. So I was mentioning Mr. Werma, when the first induction furnace in 1965 was imported in India, an economy which is going to be the 3rd largest economy of the world, or 4th largest in today's standard, 5th largest economy. The first induction furnace, when was brought in, he was part of that team. Coming from textile background, but part of that team. So I want to let you know his part-time or his hobby while he was young. Today he's 72 years. He was born in 1948, and today he is 71 years. While he was young, his hobby was that if I need to, and I want you to know that if I have got no work while the textile plant is running on, let me open the engine of the car and assemble it back, time pass. That was his hobby, and he can even do it now. So he doesn't need any degree for that to prove it, and he doesn't need anything for that sort to go and tell anybody, because he was a successful businessman, and he is a successful businessman, and I can proudly say that he's my mentor and he's my father. So no Thabo Thamane can come and say this thing to my father that he was wrong, and I'm ready to take any bullet for that as a son, because he's my father first. And I will challenge anyone in the world for that. Thabo himself doesn't know anything on this front as Pula Steel. Does Thabo even know? And I'm saying this in the press. Does Thabo Thamane, when did Thabo Thamane first visited Pula Steel plant while he was the CEO of Pula Steel? I'm sure there should be facts, because when he has to leave Cedar office on official trip to Pula Steel or any of his companies, he has to get money for that, fuel, accommodation, per dime charge, I'm sure, and that should be verified. When did he first leave his office to come on Pula Steel plant? That should be verified. Who is he to say that Mr. Werma does not know about the plant? You can't say something in closed door, where you don't even have stepped out and you are sitting in a building, then old building of Cedar, today a fancy building, and claiming that I'm running 6,000 businesses. I think in one of the GABS FM meeting, which I heard on radio, and I'm taking a pot shot here clearly, right? He claimed 72% businesses of Cedar are success. I put my head on the block, take an audit on it. If 72% businesses of his 6,000 businesses, 72% comes to, I'm just giving you the number. He claims he owns he's shareholder on 6,000 businesses, 72%. Sorry, the calculator is misbehaving. 4,320 businesses are successfully running businesses in Botswana. Trust me, if these many businesses are successfully running in Botswana, you cannot have unemployment. 4,320 businesses. I'm sure GABS FM has got recording of that. The recording was done, it was played at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I was standing at Clockwing border. DFI. 4,320 businesses, I'm repeating. If are successful in Botswana, then there cannot be an unemployment, and you don't need a foreign investor in this country. You should be industrialized country. Whereas today you are running all over the world to brand Botswana as please come and invest, and we want industry in Botswana. These are the facts, and I'm not telling something from third party. These figures were mentioned by Thabo Thamane in an interview on GABS FM. You can name Deepak Werma said that. It's very easy to say, blame anybody. That is why I called. This is the first time we are having this interview, and I will tell you so many facts about the things on and I came unprepared for this meeting. This is a new book, 3 pages. I just decided overnight that I will give you press interview. I don't have a secretary to do any notes. I don't have any minutes. Thabo needs one. You see, this is the difference here. Yeah. And I am not a graduate. Thabo is LSE, London School of Economics. I am not a graduate. I must tell you that. Number 2, let's start further. Pula Steel. You'll enjoy this press conference. Can I have water, please, if you guys don't mind? I've been talking a lot. Questions I will take. Questions I will take. I need more. Sorry? I think, let me tell you more about, this is something that I'm telling you of the past. Let me tell you more insight, because now you've just got to know about Werma. Let me tell you more about why Pula Steel went down. Because I know you will have a lot of curiosity about those questions. Why did the company fail? Or why did it went into liquidation? And I will give you all the answers about it. Don't worry about it. Let me just change my dress code so that we can show that the meeting went quite long. Sorry, I'm telling you, as a child, I was a very nervous child. I couldn't even do one play in dramatics, but I think now I've graduated here, and actually I told my father, you know, you gave me a very expensive learning on Harvard. I should have learned in Harvard by now. Pula Steel was more expensive investment. 50 million we lost. Harvard would have been cheaper. So at least I'm an expensive son. Right?
Episode 1, episode 2. Buddha. Episode 2.
Anybody for tea, coffee is still
Yes,
there?
please.
You want?
Yes, please.
So why don't you take a recess?
Yes, yes.
No, let's go on. Let's go on.
Let's go on.
This is
Let's
not a
go.
workshop.
Hey.
This is not a workshop. We want episode 2.
Yeah, you guys will get it in. Just have a seat. How is it?
While waiting for episode 2.
So guys and gents and ladies and gents, I've told them to just put here so that they can, you guys while we are talking, you can still keep on hearing.
Okay, let's go.
Yes.
We're at
4,320 businesses. Including Gabs FM, sorry. Don't forget, please check that interview of 4,000 that he claimed that SIDA 72% is success rate of his 6,000 businesses. I need to know that, all this. Now, as I said, that because of any delays in any project happens, there are cost overruns. But being a business with a business acumen, we decided that we know our weakness. And I always say, every parent knows the child's weakness. I'm sure whosoever is a parent here, they know how your child behaves, what he needs, what she needs. And same way, every business when conceptualized, the person who conceptualizes knows the weakness of the plant. At the same time, if he's a businessman or she's a businesswoman, they would make sure that mitigation is put in place and the measures are put in place. There is no way somebody can put his hard-earned one pula and he would let it go by the and it can just drain out, and he doesn't know or she doesn't know that this is not, this is not gonna work, let it go. Nobody does that. When this thing, Pula Steel, when we saw that there is a land issue happening, let's work out a strategy, being the major shareholder, that we need an influential partner. Very important. And that is where number one, BCL came in. This was our presumption. BCL Limited at that time claimed ran 6% of GDP of the country. If they run 6% of the GDP of the country, they are bound to be influential. That means they influence the policy of the country. That was, to any layman, this is what it will look like. Even though, and we did our assessment, yes, they were influential. But question is there a will to influence it or not? Now, the deal was that we as Pula Steel will sell our shares to BCL Limited, but BCL said we need minimum 50.5% in the company. That is compulsory. There is no deal if you are not giving us 50.5%. Close the chapter, that's the door. That is what they told us. No problem. Very shrewd business people. Very nice. Perfect. Done. Wermas were going to make money. No issues. Why? Because SIDA, policy says, SIDA's policy says, in 5 years they will exit any business. 5 to 7 years. That is their policy. Excuse me. I don't know, but this is what their mandate is, and this is what their policy is. This is what they claim and tell to an investor. SIDA was holding 35% while this deal was happening. 13% was being held by wealth generation. 52% was being held by Wermas. SIDA said our mandate is we cannot go below 26% in the business. Remember here, the person whom I'm dealing was not Thabo Thamani. The person I'm dealing with here was the Seco Selothan. Big difference, day and night, two people, right? I went, the deal happened, the deal is always there, and we discussed with them. I said, fine, we will give you as BCL 50.5%, but we will remain key people, key men on the project, because we are attached to the project, number one, and we want the project to fly. I was seeing, today, gray hair, I am 41. When I started was 9 years ago. Completely different person with regards to what I was supposed to do. Ambitious, less matured, look at billions, always dreaming about billions, fast cars, everything. The deal was done. Money was coming in. Yes, the only difference was the deal was not on the paper, which people thought it was just the paperwork that was sold. We said we need, BCL agreed, we need influence with regards to the land. and there could be certain other impacts that could be possible. We gave them the addendum, we signed all the documents, and I'm saying one thing very important which press needs to know. This deal was closed by lawyers called Minchin and Kelly. Very important to know, this deal in 2014 was closed by Minchin and Kelly, who are the lawyers of Pula Steel in liquidation today. Minchin and Kelly. That is the reason why I'm saying that. So 5 years later, you will get a lot of questions. You will have questions, which I suppose I would have answered some, but it's important you to know that. Minchin and Kelly did this deal, and the deal was driven by a gentleman, unfortunately. He's late now, from accounts point, Mr. Siahiso Ramatsaba. And Mr. Ramatsaba, in individual capacity, was also the board member of SIDA. Yes. Also the board member of SIDA. Right? So that means in any scenario, whatever the deal is happening, how we got privy that Mr. Ramatsaba is board member of SIDA. Remember, you don't get to know your wife before you are married, right? When you are staying every day together. Same goes. That is when I got to know which person is on which board in BCL. Influence. And BCL was all over the boards. BCL was on BPC board, BCL was on Railways board, BCL is on BPC board. Because remember, when Botswana used to consume 120 megawatts of power in the whole country, 70 megawatts was going to BCL. Today, if you look at the power structure, the best infrastructure that is set up in the country is not with BCL, is not with anybody in any other part. It's in Piquet Belt. And you don't need any upgradation. You don't need, like people now, country is upgrading the power line in Maun to provide power there. If there's a lot of power, doesn't mean if somebody is producing 600 megawatt power and you just send the current there through these cables and power will come on. You'll have a blackout in the country if your infrastructure is not supported. So the place that is most supported infrastructure is Silibi Peakway area because of the consumption of power that was being done by PCL. So we knew that, yeah, there's a lot of influence that's coming in, but the deal happened. We were paid premium on our shares and we were pretty happy about it, but we had no clue where me and my father were heading into. Because remember, at that time, we are a family, the business is done, we didn't know that you have to sit around the board, and then there has to be a chair, and then you have to ask, can I say something? We know nothing about it. We are father and son, we are eating food, do this work tomorrow? Yes, done tomorrow. We didn't know all this. We had no clue about it. And I can say it in the oath. And I am sitting here, you can call my father, I can give the number, he will answer, tell you the same thing. Did you know all this before? The first time we got exposed to this thing was 5 people in double the size of this room, or 7 people sitting in cedar chair, and let's say chairing. We didn't even know how to chair a meeting. I mean, if you tell me today also, I can't chair a meeting. So I don't know anything about this thing. And we had a discussion, BCL we got paid, story started. My kids were studying at Kopano school that time. My kids, we were paid in March. 20th March is my birthday, so I know the dates very closely. A lot of things has happened. All have happened during the outclosed of a birthday, wedding anniversary day. So dates are there accordingly. So April holidays, kids were in India. We got paid. My kids extended the holiday by 8 days. They didn't join the school. Wermas are paid, they have run away, they are not coming back. This was in the grapevine. No issue. Everything will settle once they see people themselves. I was in Johannesburg, and I know when I was paid, I was watching a movie in Kilani Mall. And if you want to know the name of the movie, I can tell it was an Indian movie. But that is when the message rang on my phone that I have received the money.
How much is it?
FNB. How much? 100% premium.
Which was how much?
14 million.
14.
Yes.
One
On
for
your phone?
1
from
from VCR.
100% premium.
For the Werma family food.
For only for Werma family. Yeah. The Patriot and another newspaper even printed the photo of that shareholder agreement where my wife's signatures are there. So I'm sure they know this was also news in the papers that they've been paid. That's why I said, they said we were paid on the paper. No. That is why I clarified, and I'm again saying, equipment was already in the country. Analyzation had happened. It was not paid on the paper. It was paid based on the work that had already happened. The other beneficiary was, I'm sure they received the messages, were Brian Musinene and SIDA. Before even the business started, I again dare and challenge. I want to know in which business did Tabut Amani received premium before he started the company. In his 6,000 businesses that he brings. Not even one. I can guarantee you that. As him being SIDA CEO, we are only talking till that extent. What happened in his past life, I don't know. But this is where I interacted with him. So I want to know that because I'm specifically saying this name again and again, and you will hear it 2-3 names adding to it. Because they are the ones who has maligned Werma family name. And at the back, in the closed doors, they have been saying us this thing, don't talk to journalists. And I can say that because when you talk to them, you provide them more fodder. But I had asked them, fodder for what? Why can't you go and talk to them when you have not done anything wrong? You are a business. I am a private business. And my private business is supposed to, I've got every right to make sure that my business grows multiple times. If I don't think like that, how would I grow? I'm not running a parastatal. I'm not running a company. If I start, before even I start, I received 100 million from certain place as funding. And I start going and buying left, right, and center the cars. I have responsibility. That's taxpayers' money, right? And I fully realize that fact. Do other people realize that fact who are in that team, which are not being named, and Wermas are being named? That is the question. Coming back again to Pula Steel. When we were paid that money, and then 14 million, something, whatever, 3-point-some million was being paid to wealth generation, and 3-point-some million, total 20 million something was paid, 20,500,000, somewhere there was paid by BCL to acquire that. Now, if the same unit of Pula Steel size has to be set up by BCL Limited itself, which today the number is hovering somewhere between 150 to 170 million Pula. That unit was being costed to them, would have costed to them over 500 million. And I'm not saying from assumptions. I have again facts for that, because when I started working with them, I got to know how they work. And knowing that how they work and where the money goes, I realized that I sold them next to nothing. I should have actually even asked them 100 million premium, they would have paid me. Because this plant would have costed them even then less for what they were going to go and spend the money for. Nonetheless, again, as I say, that is my loss. Within my family, Wermas should crucify me for that, because why did I sell the plant so cheap? But ultimately, no, that is not. What is gone is gone. Plant has been sold. The shares have been sold. BCL came in. When BCL came in, during 2011 to 2014, Botswana, you see now the new entry is coming. Botswana Power Corporation had given us a document. We will give you 5.5 megawatt of power. 5.5 megawatt of power, which was needed to run 80-ton furnace, caster, and the rolling mill. The cost to run that power to the asset was given 5.5 million Pula. Very important point to know that Botswana Power Corporation gave a quotation which was 5.5 million Pula to be paid over 5 years, 60,000 or 66,000 Pula per month, including it could be your power bill. So 60,000 is the installment and plus your power bill. Now, if you look at it, it is a very good deal for banks, because now you are not investing on a capital structure. You are paying it over the period of time in next 5 years. You are getting the power, you are paying the capital outlay from Pula Steel here of 5.5 megawatt of asset is not needed, not required. While we are setting up, we went, while these discussions were happening, Pula Steel was paid, these discussions happened, BCL influence was going to come in, we got the land. The land came, the one which is opposite, not those 5 plots that I mentioned, and there's a written letter for that with us. Spedu is the one who gave, and the allotment was there. The land was offered at 80 or 90 Pula per square meter, unserviced land, only one side of it serviced. We didn't need anything else. So we went to BPC and we said we need our power, here's your quotation, 5.5 megawatt, and this is 80-ton plant. I'm again and again specifying 80-ton capacity plant. Power is there, please give us the power. BPC said, sir, we can't give you this power at this price. No. And remember, BCL was at board of BPC. Right? We can't give you this power at this price. Okay, what can you do? Give us 2 days, we'll send you a quotation. The quotation came 5.5 megawatt power to pull, because we needed temporary connection to start the construction work. 5.5 megawatt power to set up, and this is the number that needs to be known. 21 million to set up temporary power connection, payment upfront. In previous case, 5.5 million, payment in 5 years, 60 months. Here, payment upfront. We went to BCL, we went to the drawing room, just like drawing board like that, and we said the project doesn't exist. That means, what do we do? We sat with the chairman, shareholders sat, right? And I'm sure it is such a major decision whether project is existing or not. So there should be somebody from SIDA who must be there. We can presume that somebody from SIDA has to be there, because the deal for SIDA was that if you get 26% shares in that, they still need the voting right. And BCL, when gave the money, they did not give anybody the voting right. What they said was, the shareholders agreement, 7 people on board, 4 people will be from BCL, 3 people will be from, 1 from Werma's, 1 from Wealth Generation, and 1 from SIDA. So technically, if we are even debating anything, and tomorrow BCL says, boss, we only want green apple now, we can't say nothing. Can we? We've signed the agreement, we've sold ourselves. What do I do? So I'm telling BCL, the business is not existing. You are my board, guide us. I'm one of the board members, not my father, because he was the CEO of the company. And in 2014, the CEO was changed by BCL because they brought us as key men, and they wanted the key person to run the business. And they signed fresh contracts with us till 2019 March from 2014. So, and I have my contract in place, the documents are there available. Whatever I'm telling you, minutes are there about this thing. The drawing board meeting was discussed, and the meeting was called amongst the shareholders, and BCL said, we are not going back on this project. We want Mr. Werma this project to implement. We will go back to BPC and discuss with them. What is the alternative? They went back. They said, let's increase the capacity of the plant. There was another phase, the melting furnace. We want another melting furnace. We have the rolling capacity. You remember I told you the capacity of a rolling mill was higher than the capacity of the melting facility. So let's increase the melting facility and make sure, because in power consumption or in the power factor, the cost of power of induction is more than any other thing in this whole process. Perfect, fine. We have to go with the flow. My 4 board members are saying, let's go. What about the money? We will have to do a capital call. Immediately capital call was called. Here, Mr. Thamane said that we don't know about this capital call. How is it possible? Either he was holidaying somewhere and he didn't do his job right? Or the person he sent was sleeping while we were in the board. Correct? That is what the 2 things can happen. Right? Because at the end of the day, he is coming on SIDA's money and he is being there, so that is what can happen. Only 2 things. Either Mr. Thamane was not there, or the person he sent did not report back what has happened. The board said expansion has to happen. Let's fast forward the project. Sir, what will happen with the scrap? Raw material is needed. If there is no blood, how is body going to work? Simple as that. We are key people. We have to advise our shareholders beforehand. Let's push for the scrap ban. 2014, scrap ban was officiated and there's a gazetted. It is gazetted and I have the document with me. Again I say, I can send it. That scrap will not go out of the country till the local foundries do not give NOC for that they cannot consume it in the country. That's it, nothing else. Perfect. We are all set. Deepak, what is the break even? That is what they asked me. I said, if we sell 3,000 tons of material and if we get 3,000 tons of scrap, even if we have extra capacity, we make 42% in GP. Again, everything is good. Even if we expand, we create more jobs, there is more money to be made, and this is what we have told and we can prove it. Again, documents are there for that. Then we can prove it. We will expand, capital call will happen. SIDA, they said that we will not participate in this capital call. SIDA was reduced to 6%. Obviously, if you don't want to buy this apple, nobody's going to give you a free. Whatever you have, if you have some share in this apple, it's going to reduce. The others are going to eat it. This is business. Anywhere in the world, that's what happens. Whether it is London, America, or DR Congo, doesn't make a difference. Botswana is no different. It is going to happen the same way. These are business principles. Done and dusted. New song starts from SIDA. Obviously, he has to make sure his job is intact. But in this period of 2011 to 2014, SIDA had invested 13 million as debenture loans, right? He fought for everything here, he claims. How did he forget to mortgage the property to SIDA when he disbursed the money? Today, he is sitting as a creditor in Pula Steel, where he is at the mercy of the liquidator to fight for taxpayers' money. Why he did not mortgage when he had the first right, he was holding 35% of the company. He should have taken mortgaged land, he could have mortgaged the building so that he could control the shots. If I am the CEO of a parastatal like that, I will not ignore this thing. This is a solid, it's not even solid, it is suicidal mistake. Where is the mortgage? You gave money to Pula Steel. Is Pula Steel mismanaged or SIDA mismanaged? Where is the mortgage? Somebody has to ask him that document. Even today he doesn't have. And if Pula Steel is sold for 20 million, he is not the creditor. The preferred creditors will first get the money, which is 5 million. Then the ratio of the money will be divided and he will probably get 100,000 for 13 million. Where is the balance money gone? Sink the money. Mr. CEO, LSE, London School of Economics. Let's talk. This is London School of Economics teaching. Call the principal of London School of Economics. This is your student, sir. Intelligent student. Am I correct? Right. Don't worry, I will give you, this is not Thabo. You will see sequence of people in that. Now I'm again saying, is this a student of London School of Economics doing this mistake? And the question is being asked by a person who is undergraduate. And he's taken an oath of taking care of taxman's money. And he is Botswana, but the information is coming from a foreigner who doesn't want to create jobs here, is what he claims. This is the question. Let's ask, this is what I'm saying. Problem was the missing link. We didn't want to come and make sure. You can say today I'm suffering, so I have come to the press. No, I am not relocating from Botswana. I must tell you that. I will set up another induction furnace in Botswana if I don't get Pula Steel. But this time I will not take any partner. I will run it myself as an individual. And I will show you Pula Steel will get liquidated again and this plant will run. Because I have never failed as business and I've taken it as a challenge. And I will show this to the world. My project is coming back again. Unless the government says they don't want to create jobs anymore, no problem, then I will go away. I will join hands and I will go away. But if the government wants to create jobs, I will set up a plant in Botswana, another one, induction furnace, and I will run that plant and you will see Pula Steel running there at the same time, run by LSC, right? But you will see an undergraduate running the other plant. And I am not relocating. I have not left the country. I am in the country. My house address is plot 2263 Accra Drive, Silby, Piqui, Kapano Ward. I have not left the country and I will not leave the country at all. Because that house, my kids were born there. That house will remain there forever. I'm emotionally attached. I'm 41. I've lived half of my life in India. Half of my life is here. I have certain grudges with you people also at the same time, which you have seen that I'm saying one by one. You will see some more coming because you guys should have verified the facts. Right? And whatever I am telling you, I have the facts. So please, just the request is verify it. Verify from the investor, the real person who is on the ground. Don't verify from people who are doing the thing in the drawing board. Nothing. They know nothing about it. They don't even visit the plants. Point next that comes, 6% CEDA was diluted. The dilution was 6%. No power, no authority in Pula Steel. What would a 6% shareholder do? Werma's shareholding went to 23%. Wealth generation thing came to 4.5%. Unfortunately, they were incapacitated to raise the money because obviously, well known for whatever the reasons, what, God knows about it. I don't want to comment on their capacity. I've got no issues, I've got nothing to do with anybody I've got already enough people who are targeting me. So I want to make sure that my life goes peace on, because even for Pula Steel, I have been threatened. I must tell you that. During the judicial time. Yes.
Who is threatening you?
I will tell you. It's coming, don't worry. It's one by one, I told you. You have just heard currently about CEDA. Remember, there is Nigel Warren Dixon, the bigger chapter is still opening up. You have not seen, you have just seen BCL's positive sides. Certain things they have done. Remember, let me unfold. You see, I asked Hilton people, do you have reservation today here? They said no. So I said, I'm going to have a long day here. Right? So, and I'm sure you're finding it enough interesting. Unless you have any other plans.
Nice if we had.
But I'm sure it is more exciting, you won't leave. Right?
It would be nice if we had documents with you to substantiate.
Yeah, I will send you all those documents. Leave your email address, you will have them. Certain minutes are not in my control because remember, you have still not reached to the unfolding of Pula Steel. You have just been while it was starting up these problems, and then there was something happening on board level. But you have not reached to a level where I have told you that how many times my house has been raided.
Yes.
So,
But say, I'm sorry to distract you from your smooth flowing.
yeah.
May I also kindly request you to speed up as much as you could?
Then I will miss a lot of things.
As you can see,
I will try my best.
we are different news media and we also have to go and attend to other investors
No,
like
no,
you.
no. I will definitely try my best.
Yes, sir. That will
So-
be very kind of you.
Exactly, sir. Accepted. So after this, when Pula Steel, when they came to 6%, now obviously they didn't have any powers, they didn't have anything to say. In Pula Steel, there were people, if you would ask them, and today ask their, what do you call, designations, some of them are not even existing in SIDA anymore. Right, they're not even there. They are in the country, but they're not even at SIDA. And you can confirm which other designation they have come. So those at that where they were when they attended the board meeting of Pula Steel. So what was the importance to SIDA in this regard? Then when this 6% happened, and as I told you, we went to BPC for taking a quotation that, you know, we need to set up this thing. We can't afford to give you a temporary cost of 21 million, and then we have to expand the project now. We have to fast forward what we have. Can you assist us in terms of giving us a power cost of 15 megawatt? Because we had done the number at 3,000 tons, we are making money. Scrap moratorium is coming in place, and we have been assured about it, and it came in place in December. Can we just go and do that? No problem. We went ahead, we did it, and there came a bomb to us. That was quotation from BPC. 52 million upfront. We sat in the drawing board. I'm taking his request now. We went, we sat together, we said, is there a possibility that my board can ask BPC that can we take people from your panel, from BPC's panel, and can we set up the substation ourselves? They said, my luck, yes, we can get it. We said, can we take the cost? Yes. We went to the world, we asked, we went and we found out the cost. We did our number and we presented that we need 18 million to set up 15 megawatt power.
80.
1-8.
Oh, 1.
From 52 million, using same people which BPC was going to use. In that span of time, BPC had told the delivery span is 2 years or 1.5 years. We set up that substation in under 3 months at the cost of 16.2 million from 52 million, and that is what allowed Pula Steel to stay. Otherwise, it was gone in the grave before only. There wouldn't have been Pula Steel. Good, we got, and there are documents to that. There are potential documents, reports, yes, it was done. In this time, we had a gentleman in from BCL. His name was Mr. Bujosi. He was appointed as civil engineer with my father to oversee the construction process. And he hired a person, the designation is called COW, C-O-W. I don't know the full form of it, but every construction project has a COW, they call it a COW. His name was some Tumba, Tony Tumba. He was hired. Tony Tumba and him, Mr. Bajosi, they would oversee, and my father is a bit aggressive person in nature. He can't, if you will sit with him, if he says, yeah, if somebody is standing there and he will say, please can you give water to the lady? So if he's still standing there, he'll get up, pick up the water and put it by that time. He's that kind of person, just in nature. It's just his nature, like that. For if he's sitting and he's still standing there, I'm waiting, okay, I'll go and, pick up. He will just get up and he will put the thing. So, Tony Tumba and Bajosi, they had a protocol of things to be done. And in this time, there was an Indian team that started coming in the country. In December, we had one of the Decembers early, when in July 2014, the groundbreaking happened for Pula Steel by Honorable Kirikilwe. And then, in December, we had a board meeting at Conference Center, which we were very against of it. We don't, as Wermas, we would always say, do meeting in Silvi Peakway. We don't have money to spend on these, take room, all this and all. Then BCL said, now here comes BCL, now unpacking of BCL. BCL board members said, we need rooms at Masa Center. Right? We said, sir, this is a bit difficult. Right? Okay, HR coordinator was supposed to do, she was from Pula Steel. We told her, say the rooms are not available, and what, book at Clotho. And me and my father, we don't even want to stay there, and stuff, we are coming back the same day. No, the meeting's gonna be extended, okay, you book the rooms, we will manage. I remember we were staying at this town lodge at that time. Not they booked the room, whatever happened for all the board members. We were given some money to go, and then the procedures, the regular procedures have started now. So, in that meeting, Bajosi, how something his name was, he told my father, even we have so much difference with each other, even if I have to fist this man, I will do it. The board said, quiet. There and then, quiet, hey. And he was said, please excuse yourself. My father had initiated, because there was constant issues coming because of Tony Tumba and this guy. And my father was saying, start the work quickly at Pula Steel. Groundbreaking has happened. We had to make so many foundations. Start digging quickly. I don't know what delays were happening, what was not happening. And then when this thing happened, my father had, before that board meeting, my father had already asked Bajosi must be released. Remember, he's the CEO of the company. But it was again in the hands of the board, because board is, BCL board was holding a lot of power. But BCL board, when he went to this extent, they fired Mr. Bajosi. He was removed from that in January. And what happened in that time was, in December, we had 14 days. The foundations which were not made from July 2014, 17th July, say I will still give a grace of 2 months down, till end of December, from 20th December till 5th January, 12 foundations were dug, backfilled, and put the G4 back. 12 of them. They had no, and the staff was off, people were not there. They were people which we hired at higher price to come and dig, and there was the other part of the labor that was there. This includes COW was also fired in this instance because he left, because he said, now my protection is gone with Josie, so it will be a problem. And this Tony Tumba is the same person. The news was done by Patriot. He gave a news in Patriot that Indian labor has come, they are paid higher money, we are paid less money, the government, Botswana, the racist card was thrown, simple as that. And if you want to read the same news in 2015 or 16, it was in Marupule B. This is the same Tony Tumba, it was same copy-paste news. Wherever Pula Steel name is written, put Thai workers and Murray and Roberts. That's it. You will see the whole article is same. Same Tony Tumba. You can copy that, you can see that, it's identical. And now, what we're saying is in this, that Pula Steel was now getting, the construction work had started in record time from 20th July, 14th July and 15th October 2015 was the opening of Pula Steel. So it was how many months? July to October. 1 year, July, August, September, October, 3 months. So in 15 months, the opening of the plant happened, which was phenomenal. We have, again, the newspaper here, Weekend Post, right? They did an article on us. We did human trafficking. Correct? We did human trafficking. There was an article, and the person who first, and the complaint was done by a guy, his name was Anil Kumar. He was our chemist, right? And he used to go to Gab's FN for if anything goes wrong and if we would put any pressure of work. What they realized is that Botswana is a different ball game. Remember, I would definitely give credit as an Indian. You know, you go, we feel ourselves because we export a lot of human resource worldwide. So that means we are very adaptive in nature. So when they came, now adaptive nature can also be dangerous because they started realizing that the business Pula Steel is not owned by Werma's, is owned by BCL. So the money that we are getting in rupees, we should get in Pulas. But they forgot something in between. There is a secondment system. They don't know, you see, they don't know the protocols of work. And why the secondment was done was because, remember, government wanted that we must vet these people out of India. And we did not have capacity to do that. That I vet 100 people in India coming from different part of India and do that. So I had to hire a company to send the people to us. And they went and they said that we have done human trafficking. We don't give them food properly. We abuse them, right? When they came to Botswana, this so-called team, whatever it was from India, and even the company that sent them also complained for us. They even sued us in personal capacities and whatnot. So we went, they even said we know them very well, or their family, what started stories. No problem, it is all speculation, let it go on, we don't have a problem, but focus is let's work, plant needs to work, and this. We were definitely running in payments behind, because remember, the target production where the money was being made was 3,000 tons a month, whereby we were not even doing 400 tons a month, a day. Oh, sorry, a month, 400 tons a month, 400, 500, 600 tons. So we were struggling with the money in regards to take care of these employees, and they took advantage of that. Initially, I started negotiating with them, and I was personally involved in that. You know, look, you must understand, work together. I threw a nationality card to them. We must work together. We must make sure that this project gets successful. There is a lot to do in this. What? Nothing worked out. Finally, we had to dismiss the contract. We sent the company back, but they complained to Indian High Commission. They checked on me. They checked on whether it was human trafficking. DIS came to Pula Steel offices. Human Resource Office got active. Again, they started checking on us, whereby we didn't even sign the contract. The contract was signed by the person who was from Human Resource himself, and he now is checking on us, whereby he's the one who signed the contract. He is the one who actually did all the deal in this, and he's telling us that, you know, you human traffic. I said, but you issued all the visas. If there is a lack, if at all, are you saying that I went and issued the visas or you issued the visas? Government of Botswana from Indian High Commission gave the consulate in India in New Delhi gave the visas. Where did we do human trafficking? I have seen for the first time that you get visa and then human trafficking is done. You know, I mean, it's like government is giving me visa to do human trafficking. Is that what we are saying? And then obviously the story died, right? Nothing happened with that because there was no case on that. But yes, definitely DIS came to our offices. They checked, they questioned, they went, they must have verified. Then there was a gentleman here, even he was, it was in the papers that he was called back, Mr. Shukla from Indian High Commission. There was a bit of a story about him. But yes, he was very aggressive on us. The other thing they said that we never used to pay them money, right? And we didn't know that. This is what was, again, I would say is a mismanagement that happened. Then my staff, remember, I can't watch everything in an enterprise like that. This is first time in the world which then we identified that the finance department is aligned to make the payments which are being paid to keep the upkeep of these workers, and they are even buying them deodorants and deodorants of their choice, shampoos. This is not to be provided to them, and finance department is signing everything and letting it go. Bye. Sorry guys. So this is what happened. You don't do that. And when these objections came from Mr. Werma,